Hi, everyone. Good night. This is Arlene Speaks. I'm here to talk to you a little bit about um, why your supervisor sends emails at 4:35 p.m. And of course, that mostly pertains to the 9 to 5ers. Sometimes 8 to 4 people. Uh, Either way, whatever time it may be that you end for the day, they tend to. You've probably noticed that sometimes they tend to send it right before you leave for the day. So whether that be 3:35 or 4:35 for you, what in whatever state you're in, whatever field you're in, whether or sector, whether it's corporate or nonprofit, large nonprofits, do this as well. I wanted to just give you some wisdom about it. I wanted to tell you the reasons why, some of the common reasons why, about 4 or 5 top common reasons why, and just briefly what you can do about it. And if you need any follow up help, then definitely you can email me at Arlene Speaks. So, first things first, a little about me is that I have been in higher education for about 18 or more years. Um, I've been a compliance officer for about 14 years now straight. And so I've seen people hired, fired, or terminated, as we like to say. We don't like to say fired. Um, I've overseen hiring of part time people, full time people. I've seen all the politics behind it. And my passion is really helping emerging leaders advance in their careers and in their business. So I also, in addition to being a career consultant, I also do grant writing as a business consultant. So you'll see me talk about those two topics, shift between those two topics occasionally on this channel. And I'm just starting out by saying that because this doing lives is new to me. And I just wanted to give you a short snippet introduction. But let's get right into it, okay? So, top reasons why your supervisor sends emails at 4:35. Now, I've broken this into from my wisdom over the many years that I've advised managers, including presidents, VPs, the gamut really, across different industries as well. I broke it into two categories of managers. Managers are who are unaware that they're doing this and aware that they're doing this. So, two different categories, okay? Um, Now, I know you can imagine that you probably think they're all aware. Of course, they're doing this on purpose. It's to annoy me. They cannot not be doing this on purpose. But there are instances where they are unaware of their behavior, unaware of their patterns. Okay. So we'll talk a little bit about that first, and I'll make it short and sweet. So, managers who are unaware, the reason why they do it is one, to get things off their plate, to feel accomplished for the day. So you might notice two or three back to back emails when the day before she or he did not email you at all. Why? Because they were too busy. Because they were simply too busy to catch up with you. And by the time they caught up with you, now it's the next day and it's the end of the next day. So their day has been busy. They've done whatever they need to do for their direct duties throughout the day. And then managing you is, or the things you're doing is more of an afterthought. Okay. And so they're catching up, right? So these are the managers who are unaware of their behavior, but this is their pattern that they like to get things off their plate. And it just so happens to come towards the end of the day. Okay. Number two, managers who are unaware also like to feel like they are successfully delegating to you before the next day. And I could say this as a manager myself, um, of many years, that sometimes happens where now you're at the end of the day and you're saying, okay, let me offload this onto my second two, my, next in line person, because if I do this the day before, then they will be able to ask me any questions the next day, instead of let me give it to them for the first time the next day, right? So sometimes they want to just, again, managers who are less aware of their behaviors, their actions, their patterns, may just want to offload it to their, second in charge person, right? The person directly under them, helping them to carry out work every day. And they want to actually give you time to chew on the information. So they're sending it towards the end of the day, in bulk messages. And depending on the manager's style, they're also sending it one by one by one, each email one by one by one, responding to you email by email, instead of sending one email with maybe bullet points that really address um, each thing, which would be probably best for some of us, right? Instead of single emails. Okay. Um, and we'll talk about briefly what to do about that. I want to keep the video to maybe 15 minutes. So, um, these are managers that are more unaware of their behavior, but these are the reasons behind it, why they do it. Now let's talk about two more, each for managers who are aware of their behavior, who are aware that they're sending you emails towards the end of the day. Okay. Managers who are aware that they're doing that to you, for one reason is that it's an element of control. They're testing you, and and you might say, what are they testing me about? What are we, maybe you're there 10 years already. Why would you be tested? What are you being tested on? Well, they're testing your boundaries. If you've been there 10 years already, they know your boundaries already, so they may not be doing that to you. Now they know you accept it. So that's just a pattern now. But in the beginning, when they're doing that and they don't know you well, you say you're a brand new worker or you're a brand new transfer or what have you, and they don't know you, even though you may not be new to the organization or company, it's still a test to see whether you will work late. So again, these are managers and supervisors who are aware of their behavior. Okay. They are actually aware of their behavior. And so they're testing you to see your boundaries, right? And if you don't have any, if you start responding, for example, if they email you on a weekend and they treat everything as an emergency, and then you in turn also treat everything as an emergency, that would mean that they can actually continue to do that, continue to email you on weekends and at late at night, and uh, you know uh, super early in the morning before you even start, because they know that you'll actually respond. I don't know if my screen went blank, but I'm going to keep going. I don't know. Maybe I'll press enter again and see if it comes back. Let me see. Hopefully you can see me. I'm not sure. I would have to go into my YouTube on the phone to see if you can see me. But if you can hear me, yeah, I think. Oh, it might be a little frozen. Let me see. I can fix that really quickly. It should come back with just me pressing enter really quickly. But as I was saying, okay, yeah, it's working. Okay, great. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, let me X out this one. Okay, so as I was saying, these are the managers who are aware that they are doing this. Okay, they're aware that they are sending you emails late. Okay, so it's an element of control for them. They want to see if they can get you in a frenzy, and that might actually go hand in hand with their style. Their style is to be frantic. And believe it or not, some people believe that they function well. I don't want to say they do function well, but some people believe that they actually function better in chaos, right? And they think that creates team camaraderie when we're all in a rut together, we're all stressed out together. I've seen environments like that. I hate them, but you know, you also learn how to function within them and then move on, right? And so some of these managers, like the Olivia Pope, you know, we're a team, we're all together. I forgot what they used to call Olivia Pope when I used to watch that. But there was a supervisor that actually said it to her team one day. I heard her say it. I forgot what she like. Oh, you all are like the gladiators, and we're like, and I'm like Olivia Pope. They actually, meaning they actually like to function under stress and anxiety. And I know you can't imagine that a manager would like that, but in their minds, it creates a sense of camaraderie. It creates a sense of togetherness. Like we're in this together. I'm stressed out. You're stressed out too. So again, it goes back to an element of control for the manager who is aware of their, bad behavior of trying to overwhelm their staff, right? The second and last one that I'll touch on, remember I said short video, hopefully 15 minutes long. The manager who is also aware of their behavior, meaning sending you late emails if you just came in, emails at 4:35 p.m. if you leave at 5 o'clock, or 3:35 p.m. if you leave at 4 o'clock. They actually want to overwhelm you. Okay, they don't. They're bad at delegating. They don't know how to delegate. And sometimes it's coupled with wanting to overwhelm you. Sometimes this is a tactic to push you out of the organization so that you do not um, want to return, right? So that you feel so stressed and bogged down with projects and work that you're never catching up. So as soon as they email you, you feel compelled. And this is how you know that you have no control over it and that you do need help with this. You feel compelled to answer them right then because of their status in your mind, because of their level of control and their heightened responsibility to you and to others. So, because of their level, whatever level they may be at, this brings more fear into you. So, this is like working directly for a CEO, directly for a president, directly for a VP of finance or something like that. That is going to be a more high pressured situation than working for that person's second two or third two, right? So you feel like because of their status in the company, you are afraid to even take time to respond. Okay. And that is a problem because then you really have no agency over, how how you manage your schedule and how you manage your stress at work. One person told me before, a couple people told me this before, but one person told me this year, like, no matter what, you seem to be pretty even toned. You sound like this all the time, you know. But unless something's really, really bothering me, this is gonna be my tone most of the time. Um, I'm not sleeping. It's not because I'm sleeping. It's because I like calm environments. Because I didn't grow up in a calm environment, right? I grew up in a West Indian household that was very loud, and everybody was by the house all the time, right? So, I do like to be more calm than not. Okay, and I've learned how to different coping skills over the years by doing qigong. I did qigong back in the days and all that. So I learned that through practice, and then it was my natural personality as I was growing up. Okay, so um, you know, some people have that bend, or and that may bother a manager who is very anxious. It should actually help them. It should make them feel better, but they may be you would be surprised at the small things that some managers are envious of. Okay, your ability to have self-control, your ability to have temperance and manage your emotions, your ability to get along with people even in a high profile situation, your ability to have, let's call them work friends, right? Because if you're in a very regulatory field like mine, compliance, you're doing legal things all the time where you don't feel like you can really have candid conversations and talk to people and so on and so forth. But if your personality lends to it, where you can say, hey, if you catch a case, we're not friends, we're not work friends anymore. I just have to treat you like everybody else. I'm gonna investigate the situation like I would with anyone else. And if you can have that boundaries, people can even be managers can even be jealous of that. And usually the person, and this is from statistics, usually the person that gets bullied in corporate and large nonprofit spaces is the person that's more popular, believe it or not. There's an anti-bullying institute where you can look up statistics and so on. If I find it again, I'll put it in the show notes. But so there are managers who are aware sometimes that they're trying to overwhelm you, but you may not know that. You may think this is their style, this is what they do. So here's what you can do all about all of that. Whether you're a manager, and of course this is not going to be a full comprehensive list, but if you want more help with this, of course you can email me at arlene@arlenespeaks.com. Okay? Now, what can you do about it? First things first, you set the tone. So you either don't email them back right away, or email them a professional message if you feel under the gun to respond. So if you feel like I can respond, it's not a big deal. Because if I don't respond, in their minds, if you know your manager well, if you not responding means that you didn't get it, and then they got to send it again the next day, because in their mind they have to send it again because you didn't acknowledge receipt. And I really hate like when managers send a read receipt, send receipt. I almost never have done that. Like, when you don't trust people, that's when you usually do it. And other managers don't like it either. But sometimes you have to do it depending on the organization, so that you don't have to send out your email again and again and again. But if you know your manager is like that, where they are going to continue to send you this email and the tone is going to get crazier, then you acknowledge receipt. If it's towards the end of the day, you can literally say acknowledging receipt, period, done, depending on your relationship with your supervisor. Um, what I used to like to do is I say, I've been working on this. Thanks. If I've already been working on it, I already got it. But they're a nervous Nancy where they forward me things I already have had, right? Because everybody reports to somebody. I'm in authority and I'm under authority as well. So typically, when you manage several people, you also have a big boss, right? As somebody who is above, you know, everything. So whether that's a CEO or executive director or president or what have you, or VP, right? You might say just a one liner, I have been working on this, thanks. Or I will work on this tomorrow morning, thanks. Or don't put a time on it at all. If you know, it really depends on your manager's style. Well, their personality, not their style. Because again, this is you setting the tone and you setting your style of responding to them. If it was something you were supposed to work on that day, but you had your list of things to work on and they just gave it to you that day, say they gave it to you in the middle of the day and still expected it to be done and they expected it to be done that day and maybe they said so. Hi, unfortunately, I didn't get to fully, complete this task today, but I will finish it in the morning or I'll finish it tomorrow, where you don't give a time at all the next day because you know you have a list of things to work on. I'm not talking to lazy workers here. I'm talking to people who do their job and just want to do it a little more stress free, right? Leaders who are in authority and under authority, and they want to be respected. Sometimes they don't know how to respond to overbearing supervisors who do things their way, want to send emails at the end of the day or on the weekend. You set the tone. If you start to accept emails on the weekend, you will absolutely get emails on the weekend that they expect you to respond to. Okay? That they absolutely expect you to respond to. But people will know, like, if you don't never start doing that. Oh, Arlene doesn't check emails on the weekend. No, she doesn't. Even when you're in a high profile area, high risk area, things can usually wait. Some things can usually wait. You know what I mean? When people have an emergency, there's police. If you're in a certain field, there's public safety. If there's emergency responders to respond, right? And then you can do it first thing Monday morning. You can respond to it first thing Monday morning. But otherwise, nothing is getting done over the weekend but more emails. So you have to decide, do you want that type of stress throughout the week and on the weekend? Are you getting paid for the weekend as well, or are you just salaried, right? And you're expected to work 35 hours in the week. You're not paid overtime. You're not paid on the weekend. And even if that was allowed, say allowed by a union or a collective bargaining agreement, CBA, if it's culture that you don't ask, if it's practice that, hey, your manager does not want any of the staff to ask for overtime, then you're probably not going to ask for it if you know that culture already. So don't even start responding to emails on the weekend or late at night, because you are setting the tone. And this is a trap that people get themselves into that they don't see, right? They don't see coming because they think they're doing a good job. They think they're going above and beyond. But meanwhile, the last two types of managers that I talk about, the last type of manager that I talked about who is aware of their behavior, meanwhile, they're trying to overwhelm you, or they're bad at delegating, right? So they're dumping everything on the 10% of people in the staff, right? Among the staff who actually get work done, which drives those hard workers, those competent workers away from the organization. And we'll talk more about this at length as we go on in the year. I'm going to do broadcasts maybe every Friday at 5 p.m. And I'll do other random pop-ups within the week on grant writing, as that's what I do as well, and career advancement. I love all things advancement, negotiation, right? Making more money with what you have, right? So, any questions about the 4 to 5 reasons that your supervisor sends you emails at 4:35 p.m.? Any questions so far? I'm going to wrap up with last 2, 3 pieces of advice. Um, in addition to setting the tone, any questions so far that I can answer for you? Okay. So, another, okay, I was fixing the broadcast again. Another piece of advice is to um, ask them about their communication style up front when you start the job. It seems like an obvious thing to do, but a lot of people don't do it out of just fear, right? They want to stay humble, so they don't ask real good and important questions on the interview with the hiring manager, which is needed. You need to understand that this is also a fit for you. Is this job a fit for you? Right? What is their communication style? I don't like micromanagers at all because I'm good at my job, and I'm not lazy, so they don't have to hover over me. But if I'm new and they had to do that last time with the last person, they may just be doing it on automatic, and they'll have to learn me really quickly because I just can't take it. It's too much. Micromanaging on any level is not only too much stress and anxiety you're adding to the position, especially if the position is high profile anyway that the person's working in, but it's also very insulting, right? I can see the people, some people may need it because you need to treat them like a child because you know, they don't follow through. They lack follow through. But and if that's the case, then you need to get rid of them. You need to exit them stage left to another office, another department, and they need to find a job that works well for them. Because you're doing them a favor as well because they might be better at something else. Okay. Like they say, hire slow, fire fast. Right? That's been said over years and years by different leaders. Um, so yes, ask them up front on the hiring manager interview, or when you start the job, ask them early, what's your communication style? And then actually engage in speaking to them about your communication style as well, because you're not a nobody. It's going to matter to you. So go ahead and tell them, oh, phone is interesting. I know I'll have a work cell. However, um, in order to make sure people reach me faster, I think that email has been working well for me over the years. Email has worked really well because I'm always always online. So the person may want to Teams you, and I can't tell you how many times I get a Teams pop up and it's like I'm in a meeting, and then I may forget to revisit the Teams that same day. I might revisit it the next day, but people think it's faster to just interrupt you while you're in another meeting or while you might be doing something else, because they're not thinking about what you're doing. They're just thinking about getting what they need across and like sharing information with you right away. So it's just like using Slack or getting a DM through direct message through some other kind of workplace communication um, system, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the person's going to respond quickly, because if that's not their style of communication, or they actually hate that style of communication, they're going to avoid it in actuality. So um, unless they feel pressured and under the gun to use it, right? So you don't really want that set up as a manager either. So it's good to talk to, you know, your staff about what's your communication style. Okay, this is mine. And, I tell people, for me, put things in bullets, just put it in bullets. Like, please don't have me reading your paragraph simply because my workspace is high speed. There's always something going on. There's always something to respond to. And people write their complaints as it is in paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs. And that cannot be controlled. But your coworker, might find it easier to put it in bullets, as well as it's easier for you because it's your favorite communication style, right? So they might not have ever thought about that, is what I'm saying. And you might just be giving them an idea to communicate better with you. And it doesn't mean everybody's going to get their favorite communication style in the workplace, but you can share ideas with how to communicate better, right? The last one is, second to last, keep a running log of what they sent you and then notify them that you will update them in the next meeting. So if they're sending you one email by one email by one email at the end of the day, and it's like 4 or 5 emails now because they just got to it for whatever reason, whether they're aware or unaware of their behavior, as I mentioned, each of the reasons under those categories. Whatever reason that it's really for, they're doing that. You want to kind of keep it as a task list, right? List it all together in your own running log. And when you get to it, right? You'll probably get to it the next day. It's not that you want to be rude. It's that you want to organize your work because you had other things to do before they emailed you. That's the reality. You had something planned. If you're structured anyway, or if you are somebody who doesn't have to be micromanaged, you already had a list of things doing for that day. Okay, from the beginning of the day, from the morning, you already had your list. And so as they're sending new things to you, if you feel like knocking one out of the place, knocking one out before you leave the place, then it's fine if it's that easy. But if it's not, and you're like, this is a whole project, right? Or this is a group of tasks, which I'm not going to finish today. Don't even start it at the end of the day. Don't do that. You should be packing up to leave about 20 minutes before your time to go. Now, even if you're a remote worker, you should be winding down those emails. Okay, you should try to send the easier emails towards the end of the day, so then hopefully you'll get a response from whoever you're emailing the next day. But it's likely not going to go back and forth because you're sending it towards the end of the day. You're managing your work, okay, your workload that way. And so you do have to manage up. We call it managing up in HR compliance. You're managing your supervisor. You're managing up, right? They're managing down, you're managing up. The last tip I have for you in this area is get updates from them ahead of time before they ask you. I'm sorry, get it to them, right? So get updates to them ahead of time before they ask you. So you don't want to always be the person that they have to beg and ask and trick into telling them what's going on. Like, you don't want to seem like that person that's hiding something, that's scared to approach the manager because you don't have something finished, and so you're nervous. No, send them updates first. I got to this, this I didn't get to because so and so. Or you don't even have to give a thorough explanation depending on what it is. Only your level of responsibility in your work. You would say, awaiting response from this person, or awaiting email, awaiting follow-up, or something like that. Usually I do updates and bullets. It depends. And I've worked for presidents directly, so I really go with what their style is. And sometimes they want a full blown written report. And I would take a good chunk of time in that day or the next day to write out a report on something, right? Depending on what it is. It could be a program, it could be an investigative report, it could be a lot of things with my direct field, right? So some high level leaders will want executive summaries. You know what I mean? So we're not talking for that. We're talking about projects and so on and so forth. We're not talking about day to day tasks. Now, with day to day tasks, you should be able to just do bullets and initiate that style of communication and then see what they say about it. You shouldn't ask them, "What's your style of communication for every single thing?" Right? For projects, updates. No, just initiate your style and see how it works. Right? But in the beginning, when you start work, it's good to just ask them in general, what's your overall style? What's your preferred style? And you'll work within that. It doesn't mean that you'll do it every single time. Okay, so just to recap, um, while your supervisor sends emails at 4:35 p.m., right? Sometimes on a daily basis, I broke it down into two categories of types of managers: the managers who are aware of their behavior and the managers who are unaware of their behavior. For the managers who are aware of their behavior, it's an element of control. They're testing um, what they expect you to do. They're trying to see if you will work late, if you'll work on the weekend, if you're dying to keep this job. And so you're trying to prove something to them. The person who really wins this area is the person who is okay with standing their ground and having boundaries. And I've never suffered from having some boundaries in my line of work. So you do need boundaries. You need boundaries with customers, even. You need boundaries. Or else people will take advantage and they'll think that you are thirsty. You are thirsty for that job and you'll do anything, and they can run you ragged, as my mother would say. They can run you ragged and stress you out. And we both know that stress takes a toll on everything in your health, like all areas of health, right? Um, and the manager who is also aware of this behavior may also want to overwhelm you. That's another reason why they're sending these emails late. They may also be just bad at delegating, right? And they're sending you one by one email instead of saying you're responsible for this person's responsible for that. They're just shooting out emails. Anybody who can do it would be great. Anybody who can get it would be great. You know what I mean? That is not the way to delegate per se to your staff, but if hadn't done anything about it. Okay. The other reasons I mentioned, just as a recap, are those who are unaware of their behavior. They're just trying to get things off their plate. There's no, hidden agendas in it. They're really just trying to get things off their plate for that day. They want to feel accomplished. And they just got around to your stuff by the end of the day, right? They have their stuff going on and they're just getting around to your stuff. And so they're sending emails one by one at 4:35 p.m. Um, you could say thanks on it, or if you're not really on it, we'll get on it tomorrow. You know what I mean? Just send a one sentence, few words, very few words. Do not over explain yourself. Do not act like a child in these situations, because then you'll be acting out that mommy daddy to child dynamic in the workspace, which I've seen play out, and it's ugly. Okay, so once you start that, I'm scared to respond, I'm scared to say this, I'm scared to say, they will absolutely take advantage of that. A bully supervisor will definitely take advantage of that. I'm not saying that everybody would, I'm just saying somebody who already has that wicked personality is going to take advantage of that. Okay. And the other reason I mentioned with a manager who is unaware of their behavior, another reason why they're sending these emails so late is because they want to feel like they're successfully getting things off their plate. They're delegating, right? They're wanting to give you time to chew on the information specifically towards the end of the day, because maybe they're thinking your plate is light by the end of the day. So at least you can read these few emails and then ask your questions the next day, right? And this is their style, because they want to give you a heads up. Heads up. We all know those heads up emails, heads up calls. Sometimes it really sucks, those heads up, and then sometimes it's good for you, right? It's good for you to have that heads up. But either way, they're trying to offload it so that you can chew on it, and then the next day you can get on it. So they are unaware of their pattern maybe, but it's not something nefarious. It's not something wicked that they're trying to do to you. Okay. So we talked about the managers unaware. We did the recap, and the 1, 2, 3, 4 ways that I listed were to set the tone. Either don't email them back at all, so it'll be like you saw the email the next day. It'll be fresh in your inbox. Whether they know for sure that you saw it or not doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. You're starting fresh the next day on it, and you're looking at it freshly. You can decide not to look at it at all because you have your list of things to do. It's not that you're ignoring it and being rude, right? Or you can respond, and the examples I gave were just saying, I have been working on this, thanks. Or because some managers send emails over and over again. It's like, I already got it, thanks. You know what I mean? Like, got it. They just want to make sure somebody's taking care of it and that it doesn't fall under the radar. And those people tend to have a micromanaging personality, and maybe they're just learning you, and so they're learning that they don't have to micromanage you, but they just want to make sure that somebody's getting it. So you can say, I have been working on this, or I got it, thanks. Or um what's the other example I gave you before? Or I'll work on this tomorrow morning, first thing tomorrow morning. So you can sound enthusiastic about it if you want to. Or you could say, I'll work on this tomorrow, right? I'll prioritize this before whatever. I mean, I don't write a lot of words. I really think less is more. I don't even think you should say I'll prioritize that. Just say I'll work on this tomorrow. Or unfortunately, I wasn't able to get to this today. I'll work on this tomorrow. But we all know that you wouldn't have gotten it if they gotten to it today, if they sent it at 4:35 p.m. Right? So you might think it's almost silly to say something like that, but sometimes stating the obvious to let the person know they are also silly for sending it that late helps, right? You don't have to say, oh, you sent this too late. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to. No, you could just say, you know, I'll work on it. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get to this today. I'll work on it tomorrow. And people will see the timing if they ever try to bring it back up to you on an evaluation or anything like that, which is crazy. You'll be able to see the timing of what you responded, right? And when you actually saw it and what you responded, right? So that's the benefit in actually responding that same day when they're sending you those late emails. Otherwise, you don't have to respond until the next day. Say, I'm working on it, which means you're working on it actively now. But I wouldn't ever say that same day, I'm working on it. If you sent it late to me, if you sent it at the latest hour that you could, I don't care if it's 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock. If you didn't send it in the morning or very early afternoon, that means you didn't want it that day. You didn't want it back that day. Okay. And get updates to them ahead of time. Try to get those updates to them so that they don't have to ask you. Amen. All right. And what's my last recap? Ask them about their style of communication up front when you start the job. That is underrated. You need to do that because so many people don't even ask questions on the interview. They think it's going to make them look better by not asking questions. They think it's going to make them a shoo-in candidate. No, people want you to have questions because people like talking about themselves on interviews, why they like this job, some of the typical questions. But specifically when you're meeting with the hiring manager, definitely ask them their style, their communication style. You're going to need to know that. And they're not going to lie about it. It's not something they need to lie about. So that is an answer that you're going to get a straightforward thing about, right? I would tell everybody, just send me bullets. Please just send me bullets. You know what I mean? Like even texting. I write a lot. I'm a writer. I'm also a grant writer. So I write paragraphs sometimes. And I hate it myself. I don't like it. But this is my style because text messages, I still want to be grammatically correct, which is hard to get out of doing. Okay. So, you might want to put a dash or a bullet, this. So that's what I'll do sometimes to make it easier for my brain to deal with. But if the person knows me, my texts are like paragraphs sometimes. And it took me some time just to get out of that, more. Right. And another one that I mentioned earlier is keep a running log of what they sent you. So, if, for example, if they sent back-to-back emails that same day, which we've all had a supervisor who has done that or is doing that now, you just copy and paste it into a Word document that's on your desktop, and you save it there or save it to your OneDrive or wherever, right? And you keep a running log of things they gave you to do and what date, and then you go back to it. So maybe if it's not due tomorrow, you'll just have it done in your mind. You'll have it done by the end of the week. Sometimes they'll tell you, I want this by the end of the week, right? So you can prioritize. If you're keeping a running log yourself, then you can prioritize it for yourself, and thereby also still meeting their deadlines, right, by the end of the week or whatever, by Thursday, Wednesday. I like to also list things on my calendar, even the smallest thing, email follow-ups, complainants, email follow-ups with respondents, email follow-ups with witnesses, email, grant due this day. And I usually put like the week before, right? Or 2 weeks before grant writing, right? On the business side. So you want to put those things on your calendar sometimes as tasks so that you give yourself more time to do it. And it's always clear and present in your mind. Okay? So anybody have any questions? If not, I'm going to pray you out. That's probably going to be something I'm doing every video as led. And I hope this was helpful to you. Please feel free to comment right now or under the video when we end. If this was helpful to you, please like and share the broadcast, and tell a friend that Arlene Speaks is talking about career and business advancement. Okay, all things career and business advancement for emerging leaders. Again, like and share the video. And so if there are no questions, I don't see any. I see a few people on, but I don't see any questions. I'm just going to pray you out. Father God, I pray that your people would watch this video and be blessed by it. I pray that you give them understanding. I pray that you bless them with the spirit of wisdom, knowledge, and counsel, Lord God. I pray that they will be able to handle the things that their manager is giving them, Lord God. I pray that their manager will see their efforts, their hard work, and acknowledge their hard work, Lord God. And I pray that you would also make your face to shine upon them. In Jesus' mighty name, amen. Okay, everybody. Good night. It's Arlene Speaks, and many blessings. Bye-bye.